I went on a solo hiking trip along the Appalachian Trail a few weeks ago. I needed to clear my head after my breakup. I'm 35 and a freelance photographer. I thought some time alone would help me find inspiration again. I remember that first night well. I set up my camp in a quiet spot surrounded by tall trees. The sun was setting. The sky turned orange and purple. I felt calm at first. I cooked some dinner, snapped a few photos, and sat by the fire. It was nice to be out in nature. Then, as night took over, it got quiet, really quiet. My heart started to race. The crackling fire became the only sound. It felt too quiet, almost heavy. Around midnight, I heard something. It was very faint, just a rustle in the leaves. I told myself it was probably a deer or a squirrel, but then I heard it again, footsteps. My heart raced faster. I got up and peered into the darkness, but saw nothing, just trees and shadows. I tried to calm myself, telling myself I was being silly, but I barely slept that night. The next day, things got stranger. I found my backpack unzipped when I was sure I had zipped it up. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe I'd forgotten, but later I noticed strange symbols carved into a few trees. They looked odd, like letters from a language I didn't recognize. I took a photo, thinking it might be cool for my project. Still, I didn't like the way they seemed to watch me. One night, as I sat by the fire, I heard laughter. It echoed around me, faint but clear. I thought maybe other hikers were nearby, but it felt distant and strange. "Hello?" I called out, but there was no answer. The laughter continued, sending chills down my spine. I was cold, shaking. I felt as if something was out there, just watching. Then I saw something dart past me, just a blur. I stood up, my heart racing, straining my eyes into the dark. There was nothing, just the flickering firelight. I wanted to convince myself I imagined it, but the feeling wouldn't leave. By the end of the week, every little noise had me jumpy. I felt eyes on me. As I packed up to leave, there was one last strange moment. I turned to take a picture of the path, and something moved behind me. I whipped around. Nothing was there, but I could hear whispering, soft, almost enticing. I couldn't pick out any words, but it felt wrong. As I drove away, I glanced in the rearview mirror. Part of me expected to see someone following me. I still wonder about it. Were those just tricks of my exhausted mind? Or was something really out there, lurking in the dark? The quiet woods still haunt me. I can't shake the feeling I wasn't alone. The days turned into a blur.
Once I got back home, filled with editing photos and trying to relax. But no matter how much I tried to distract myself, I kept thinking about that trip. Something about it nagged at me. I looked through my photos 1,000 times, but couldn't find peace. One afternoon, as I scrolled through, I stumbled upon the image of the carved symbols. I had barely paid attention to it at the time, but now it seemed more intense. My curiosity got the better of me. I decided to reach out to some hiking forums online, asking if anyone had seen similar symbols or heard laughter in the woods. The replies came faster than I expected. A few people shared their own eerie experiences. One person mentioned an old legend about a group of hikers who disappeared decades ago in the area. They said their spirits were still wandering, laughing and playing tricks on those who dared enter their territory. My stomach dropped. What if I had stumbled into something dark? I felt a mix of fear and excitement. Maybe I needed to go back. Maybe I could uncover more to the story, or at least see if there was anything else strange going on. I packed up some gear, checking my camera and making sure I had enough supplies. It felt like a bad idea, but the thought of facing my fears pulled me in. The drive back was tense. I kept replaying the events from my last trip in my mind, wondering if I'd made a mistake. I arrived as daylight was fading. the sun dipping below the mountain peaks. Everything looked different and yet the same. I took a deep breath and headed to the same spot I camped before. Setting up my tent, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched again. After my meal, I turned on my camera to review the old photos. The symbols stood out, almost taunting me. I snapped a picture of my surroundings, the shadows of the trees creeping closer as dusk settled in. Then came the laughter again. It echoed through the dark trees, bouncing off the trunks and making my skin prickle. I fumbled with my camera, trying to capture the source of the sound, but the moment was elusive, slipping away into the night. I felt a hard knot forming in my throat. "Stop it," I whispered to myself. "You're being irrational." But the laughter twisted into whispers, sharp and inviting. I strained to listen, trying to make out the words, but they danced just out of reach. My heart raced as shapes moved in the corners of my vision. I told myself it was the darkness playing tricks, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. When I decided to take a walk to calm my nerves, I found myself venturing deeper into the woods, where the trees closed in around me. Just beyond the tree line, I spotted a faint glow. It flickered like a lantern.
Was it someone else camping, or was it a mirage? I hesitated, feeling a pull towards it, a curiosity that felt more dangerous than thrilling. I stepped closer, trying to make sense of what lay ahead. That's when I heard it again, a laugh, clearer this time. Before I could turn back, something shifted in the shadows, and I was not alone anymore. I froze, heart hammering. My instincts screamed at me to run, but my feet were glued to the forest floor. The laughter continued, reverberating through the trees. It felt as if it were coming from all around me, pulling me deeper into the woods. I couldn't tell if it was playful or sinister, maybe both. I slid my hand into my pocket, gripping my phone tightly, hoping the light would provide some comfort. I flicked it on, but hesitated to shine it in the direction of the sound. Instead, I took a deep breath and called out, "Is anyone there?" The words felt foolish the moment they left my lips, but I needed a response. The laughter faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. I took a step back, ready to retreat, when a figure appeared through the trees. Panic surged through me. It was a boy, maybe 12 years old, standing just beyond the reach of my phone's light. He wore a tattered flannel shirt and his hair was unkempt. His eyes glinted with a strange light, full of mischief. "Are you lost?" he asked, a grin spreading across his face. The boy's voice mingled with the rustling leaves, sounding both sweet and off-putting. "I'm fine," I replied, forcing a shaky smile. "Just exploring." He stepped closer, somehow merging into the shadows. "You shouldn't be here. They don't like visitors," he whispered, his expression shifting, teasing me. "They're watching you." Chills ran down my spine. Who was he referring to? I started to back away, keeping my eyes on him. "I think I should go back," I stuttered, trying to sound calm. "You can't go back," he laughed. It wasn't the laugh I'd heard earlier. It was different, challenging, echoing in my ears like a siren song. Suddenly, the glow I had seen earlier flickered back to life, illuminating the area behind him. I didn't know what it was, but a creeping dread filled me. The boy turned to glance at the light, his grin broadening. They want to play. That's when I noticed other shapes moving in the distance, figures emerging from the shadows. They were indistinct at first, but as they stepped closer, I recognized their silhouettes. They wore backpacks and hiking gear, but their faces were obscured. More hikers or something else entirely? I stumbled back, horror settling in my gut. "Who are you? What do you want?" I managed to croak out. "Just to have fun," the boy said innocently, but his eyes sparkled with something darker. "Come join us." The others began to laugh again, and it sent a sickening wave of panic through me.
I turned. Running, the forest closing in around me. Branches snagged at my clothes as I dashed away, the laughter trailing behind me like a haunting melody. As I fled, I tripped over a root and fell hard onto the damp ground. My phone slipped from my hand, its light flickering out. For a moment, everything went dark. I scrambled to my feet, breathless and disoriented. I had to get back to my tent, back to safety. But as I glanced around, the forest looked different. The path I'd come from was gone. My heart sank. I was lost, and the laughter faded into cruel, echoing whispers around me. I heard a soft voice from behind me, weaving through the trees. "You're one of us now." I turned in panic, but there was no one there. Every direction looked the same, twisted trees and thick underbrush. I felt disoriented, like I was trapped in some kind of dream. I blinked rapidly, trying to clear my head. I had to keep moving, so I took a deep breath and forced myself to walk forward. The whispers faded, but I still felt a presence around me, watching. My pulse raced as I pushed through the branches. I couldn't shake the boy's words from my mind. Who were they? What did he mean by, "They don't like visitors"? I needed to get away from here. I moved cautiously, relying on whatever light filtered through the canopy. The forest seemed to sigh, the leaves rustling as if answering my frantic heart. Then I heard a snap behind me, like a twig breaking. I whirled around, ready to confront whatever was following me, but there was nothing, just the quiet hum of the wilderness. I continued walking, trying to find my way back. Just as I was losing hope, I spotted something glimmering through the trees. I quickened my pace, hope surging within me. It was a small clearing, and at the center stood an old, rusty signpost with faded directions. As I approached, I saw the names of places, but none of them were where I had intended to go. I couldn't even remember most of them. Panic clawed at me. I felt a chill run down my spine as I read the words scrawled underneath. "Welcome, Wanderer." I stepped back, looking around. The soft light that filtered through the treetops started to dim, and shadows crept closer. I scanned the forest, desperate for any sign of safety. That's when I saw it, a flickering light further into the clearing. It caught my eye like a beacon, and against all logic, I felt drawn to it. "Help!" I shouted, hoping someone would respond. I darted toward the light, but with each step, I sensed the energy shift. The woods felt alive, a suffocating blanket of heavy silence enveloping me. The flicker became a glow, illuminating the space ahead. Then I saw them. Someone stood near the light. It looked like a person, but the way they stood made me
Hesitate. Their body was rigid, arms hanging at their sides, and their face turned away from me. Fear clenched my stomach, but I called out again, "Excuse me, can you help me?" The figure slowly turned. I squinted to see, but shadows masked their features. A soft, eerie laugh echoed through the clearing, not from the figure, but from the trees themselves. I took a step back, dread tightening around my chest. "Who are you?" "Just another friend," the figure said with an unsettling calm. "Come play with us." I froze, the laughter returning, cascading around me like a wave. I couldn't move, entranced by the glimmering light and the promise of escape. But a warning bell clanged in my mind, urging me to run. With all my strength, I turned and dashed back toward the dense trees. But the laughter rose, a chorus soaring above my own ragged breath. It chased me, cold and unfriendly, while the warmth of the glow faded behind me. I stumbled forward, weaving between trees, despair flooding my thoughts. I had to get away. Yet the forest twisted around me, forming shadowy hands that threatened to pull me deeper into its clutches. I raced onward, heart hammering. As I broke free of the trees, my breath hitching in my throat, I found myself at the edge of a vast, dark ravine. The ground was crumbling under my feet. I couldn't stop now. That's when I heard a child's laughter again, echoing from the depths below, wrapping around me like a serpent. "You can't escape," they taunted.
I staggered backward, my heart racing wildly. I was trapped, caught between the horrors behind me and the void ahead. I stood there, teetering at the edge of the ravine, my mind racing. I could feel the darkness radiating from below, pulling me in. That laughter echoed again, hauntingly familiar, as if mocking my fear. I took a shaky step back, searching for a way out of this nightmare. The laughter faded, but it was replaced by something worse. The whispering returned, a low murmur rising from the depths of the ravine. I squinted, trying to see if there was a way down, but the sides were steep and treacherous. My options were dwindling. I looked back the way I came. The shadows in the woods seemed to shift, eager to swallow me whole if I chose to run back. I was stuck, frozen between two dreadful choices. I felt a warm trickle of dread slide down my spine. What would they do if I went back? Gathering my breath, I took one last glance into the abyss. That laughter had stopped, but it left an unsettling silence in its wake. With every beat of my heart, I felt the ground beneath me crumbling. I couldn't linger any longer. I turned away from the ravine and sprinted further along the edge, searching for a way to avoid the impending drop. As I ran, the underbrush rustled around me again. Was it just the wind? Or was something moving within the trees? I risked a glance over my shoulder, trying to shake the feeling of eyes watching my every move. It was just the trees, right? But they felt alive, almost sentient. Suddenly, I tripped over a root, sending me crashing to the ground. The forest seemed to shudder at my fall. Panic surged as I clambered back to my feet. I could still hear that laughter echoing in the distance, teasing and taunting me. There had to be a way out of this madness. I pushed through thick brush, the leaves grabbing at me like desperate hands. That's when I stumbled upon something unexpected, a small weathered path hidden under a tangle of roots. My heart leaped. It was a trail, but where did it lead? Against my better judgment, I followed it. The path became narrower, winding through an archway of trees that twisted overhead. The whispers grew louder, surrounding me like shadows. I could barely distinguish one voice from another, but they felt urgent, pleading. "Turn back," one hissed. "Stay with us," another urged. I didn't want to stay. I wanted to escape. I quickened my pace, my breath coming in uneven gasps, determined to outrun the murmurs. As I pressed on, the path opened up again into a small glade, and in the center stood an old, gnarled tree. But it was what was beneath the tree that made me freeze. Half buried in the dirt was a small wooden box. The whispers intensified, swirling around me as if in excitement. My instinct screamed for me to leave, but curiosity got the better of me. Hesitantly, I approached the box, its surface rough and aged. What secrets did it hold? When I crouched down to examine it, a chilling breeze swept through the glade, and the whispers turned to wails. "Open it!" they shrieked. I hesitated, uncertainty twisting in my gut. Was this a trap? My heart pounded as I reached for the lid. Just as my fingers brushed the wood, I heard something shift behind me. I turned, and just like that, I felt the world tilt. The laughter returned, louder and more frantic. The forest was alive with movement. Shadows darted between trees, and the wind howled with desperation. I had awakened something, and now I wasn't the only one in danger. As I spun around, my breath hitched in my throat. The forest seemed to morph, bending and twisting in ways I couldn't comprehend. Branches creaked ominously overhead, and I could feel a presence looming in the shadows. It wasn't the laughter anymore. It was something darker, more primal. I backed away from the box, ignoring the urgency in the whispers. My gut told me to run, to get as far away as possible, but it was too late.
Just then, a low growl reverberated through the space, sending a jolt of fear racing through me. I froze. Out of the corner of my eye,
Spotted movement. Something was slipping between the trees, growing closer. I squinted to see, but the shadows danced too wildly to reveal anything. I felt the hairs on my neck stand at attention, the kind of instinct that demanded I take action. "Please, just let me go," I whispered, hoping to break whatever spell was unraveling around me. My voice trembled, unsure if I was speaking to the unseen force or to my own fear. But the growl intensified, echoing off the trees, and I knew I was being hunted. I turned to bolt back the way I had come, but the path behind me seemed to shift and fade like a mirage. Panic surged again. There was no way back. The laughter returned, mingled with that growl, a cacophony of chaos. I darted towards the old tree, desperate for some kind of cover. There was no time to question my sanity. I ducked behind it, hugging the rough bark as if it could protect me. The whispers twisted into frantic shouts. "Find us! Join us!" They clawed at my mind, a chorus of lost souls urging me toward the darkness. Then I saw it, a figure emerging from the trees. It was tall, its outline barely visible against the night. I couldn't make out its features, but I could feel its eyes boring into me. It moved with a fluidity I didn't understand, as if the shadows were a part of it. I lifted my foot to run, but my body felt heavy, weighed down with dread. The growl echoed again, closer this time, shaking me from my daze. I realized I wouldn't survive if I stayed here. I had to find a way to break free. I glanced around the glade. My eyes fell back on the box. It felt like the only answer in a world filled with questions, but part of me knew the truth. Whatever was inside might be just as dangerous as the darkness closing in around me. I took a deep breath and stepped from behind the tree. The presence felt immediate, as though it recognized my movement. Drawing in a shaky breath, I sprinted toward the box, dodging branches that clawed at me like skeletal hands. Then everything went dark. The growl erupted into a roar as I reached the box, my fingers fumbling at the lid. I pried it open, heart racing, hoping against hope for salvation. Instead, a blinding light burst forth, knocking me back. I landed hard on the ground, dazed. But before I could comprehend what had happened, I felt the ground trembling beneath me. They were coming, and whatever I had unleashed might be worse than the shadows. The light faded, and I blinked against the darkness that swallowed me whole. The trembling ground shifted into a hum, pulsating with an energy I couldn't decipher. I pushed myself up, scrambling to regain my footing. Was this part of what I had unleashed? I looked back at the box, still glowing dimly on the ground. The forest had changed. The shadows were deeper, and the trees seemed to shift, closing in around me. I could still hear the distant growls, like beasts waiting for the right moment to strike. Panic coursed through me, but I couldn't just wait to be devoured. A sudden rustling to my left got my attention. I turned, heart pounding, adrenaline coursing through me. A shape emerged from the dark, something small and scurrying. My breath caught in my throat. It darted closer and became visible. A black cat, glowing faintly like a phantom. It paused, its eyes wide and unblinking, fixing on me with an intensity that felt like a warning. "Is that you?" I whispered, remembering the laughter and whispers from before. Could this creature be a sign, a way to navigate whatever this forest had become? But as I took a step closer, the cat hissed and bolted away, disappearing into the thick underbrush. "Wait!" I called after it, but I was only met with silence. I felt that deep-seated dread creeping back again. The growl had transformed into a series of sharp barks, the kind that flayed the air with a sense of impending doom.
Without thinking, I turned and took off in the opposite direction, deeper into the forest. I had no plan, only a desperate need to escape. My feet thudded against the ground, branches snagging at my clothes and tearing at my skin. I kept running. Then, suddenly, I stumbled across a path that hadn't been there a moment before. It was narrow, winding, and seemed to beckon me forward. A sense of caution flickered in my gut, but the sounds behind me urged me onward. I followed the path, hoping it would lead me to safety, or at least away from the growling that was now echoing in concert with frantic whispers. With each step, a sudden chill filled the air. I rounded a corner, and the trees began to thin. That's when I saw it. A shack, perched at the edge of a small clearing. It looked abandoned, with one window cracked and a door hanging off its hinges. And somehow, I knew someone had lived there once. As I approached, the door creaked slightly, teasing the idea that someone, or something, was waiting inside. Heart racing, I stepped onto the rickety porch. Maybe it would provide shelter from whatever was pursuing me. I pushed the door open, forcing it past the thick coating of dust. Inside, the air was stale and musty. I barely fully crossed the threshold when I heard it. A faint clinking sound that didn't belong in the silence. It was followed by a low moan, almost human, echoing through the cramped space. My stomach twisted as I took a small step back, unsure of what I had just walked into. What was in there with me? I hesitated, but curiosity pulled me forward. Yet, before I could enter fully, the growling returned, closer now, filled with an urgency
that froze me in my tracks. Something was out there, and the shack might not be the refuge I hoped for. I had to decide now: stay and face the unknown inside, or run back into the darkness of the forest. The growling echoed louder, mixing with the moans from within the shack. My instincts screamed at me to flee, but another part of me, the part that craved answers, tugged me back toward the door. What was making those sounds? I felt trapped between fear and curiosity. I took a breath and stepped fully inside the dim space. The door creaked closed behind me, plunging me deeper into uncertainty. In the flickering light, I could see old furniture draped in sheets, dust particles swirling in the stagnant air. The clinking sound came again, this time clearer, a metal object scraping across the wooden floor. My heart raced as I scanned the room. "Hello?" I called, my voice weak against the silence. I moved quietly, each step cautious. I spotted an old lantern on a shelf, but it was too dusty to tell if it still worked. Then I froze in place. A figure emerged from the shadows, hunched over, its back toward me. I could just make out what looked like a tattered coat, and the smell of something foul hit my nose. My stomach churned. "Who are you?" I dared to ask. The figure paused, and I could see tension ripple through its frame. The growling outside intensified, echoing my fear. I took a step back, but before I could bolt, the figure turned slowly. What I saw made my blood run cold. The face was obscured by long, stringy hair, but two piercing eyes glowed with an unsettling luminescence. They locked onto mine, filled with a mix of fear and something else. Hunger? I needed to get out, but just as the feeling of flight surged in me, the growling outside changed. It morphed into a series of howls, a chorus of voices, each one sharper than the last. The eyes in front of me widened in recognition, and that's when I understood. Whatever was outside, it wasn't just seeking me, it was hunting. The figure raised a shaky finger and pointed toward a trapdoor in the corner, barely visible under a heap of old junk. "You need to hide," it rasped. "Why? What are they?" I whispered, overwhelmed. "Creatures of the forest. They'll find you," it said, its voice barely above a whisper. "They can sense your fear." With my heart pounding and nowhere else to go, I rushed toward the trapdoor.
I flung it open, revealing a dark space below. The howls were getting closer, mingling with the sounds of heavy footsteps. I hesitated for a second, looking back at the figure. "Please, just go," it urged, its voice now rising in panic. I closed my eyes, steeled myself, and leaped down into the darkness, letting the trapdoor close above me with a heavy thud. The underground air was cold against my skin, and I crouched low, trying to control my breathing. It was quiet for a moment, suspended in fear. But then I heard it, the sound of claws scratching at the wooden trapdoor, followed by desperate howls. They were coming. I pressed my back against the rough wall, my heart racing, wondering what would happen next. Whatever was above me, I hoped it could buy me a bit more time. But then I heard something else, a sound echoing from the darkness at the far end of the space, a low, thrumming hum. Was I really alone down here? The hum grew louder, vibrating through the cold air around me. It made the hair on my arms stand up. I leaned forward, straining to see into the darkness that stretched before me. There was something down there with me. My heart was pounding in my ears as I scanned the shadowy corners. The only light came from the faint glow of the trapdoor above, casting eerie shapes on the rough-hewn walls. I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't just hiding, I was being observed. "Hello?" I called again, my voice trembling as it bounced off the cold walls. The humming paused, and for a brief moment, silence engulfed me. It felt heavy, like the pressure in the air before a storm. I wondered if the creatures above had caught wind of my presence and were still searching for me. But in that moment, something else seized my attention. A movement in the darkness. It was quick, fleeting, but unmistakable. I held my breath, caught between panic and the desperate need to understand what was lurking there. I took a small step into the shadows, my hands outstretched before me, feeling for anything solid. Suddenly, the humming resumed, but this time it came with a low, guttural whisper that sent chills racing down my spine. I was beginning to convince myself the sound was just my imagination when I felt something brush against my ankle. My heart skipped a beat. I gasped and stumbled back, nearly tripping over myself. What was down there? I winced at the thought of putting my hands on the cold ground to steady myself. "Please, stop!" I shouted, trying to keep tremors out of my voice. "I mean no harm." The response was immediate. The hum shifted into a low growl, and fear shot through me. I turned and made for the trapdoor, but it was too far. Then came the sound of claws again, only this time they were inside the space with me. They clicked and scraped against something in the dark. Whatever it was getting closer. Fumbling through the darkness, I stumbled upon an object, a stick or a pipe. I lifted it, my fingers trembling as I took a defensive stance. "I'll fight you off if I have to." My bluff felt weak, but I was desperate. The growling stopped, replaced by a silence that was somehow worse. I felt a hot breath on my neck. I froze, every instinct urging me to turn and run. Just as I was about to give in to that instinct, the darkness flickered with an eerie light. Shapes emerged, slinking closer, eyes glimmering like broken glass. They were not just animals, they were more, shadows with features I couldn't just comprehend. "Get away!" I screamed, swinging the makeshift weapon in front of me. I had no idea what they were, but fear was lifting off me in waves. Then, as suddenly as they appeared, the glimmering eyes disappeared into the shadows, the howls above still echoing. I was left standing in silence once again. But then I heard it, a soft, whispering laughter,
echoing from the far end of the underground space, and with it, the realization that I wasn't alone after all. I hadn't just hidden from danger, I had stumbled into something far worse. The question hung heavy. What had I really uncovered in the darkness? I stood there, paralyzed by fear, as the whispering laughter filled the air around me. It was soft and childlike, echoing off the walls like the fading remnants of a cruel joke. The shapes I had glimpsed in the dim light felt like they were closing in, and a cold sweat broke out on my skin. I could sense them, lurking just beyond reach. Then the laughter transformed, growing louder, morphing into a cacophony of high-pitched giggles. I clenched my fists around my makeshift weapon, willing my heart to calm. "What do you want?" I shouted into the abyss. "I'm not afraid of you." But deep down, I knew that was a lie. In response, the laughter morphed into a haunting melody, a song I couldn't quite make out. It felt both enchanting and foreboding, promising something sweet and sinister all at once. I trembled, fighting the urge to break down. I was trapped in a suffocating darkness, abandoned by the world above. Were those creatures still out there? What were these voices beckoning from the shadows? A figure emerged from the darkness, glimmering with an otherworldly light. Not the child from earlier, but a woman, her face obscured by long strands of hair. She floated a mere foot off the ground, her body reminiscent of a lost spirit. The whispers quieted, anticipation thick in the air. "Join us," she sang, her voice melodic yet eerie. "You've made it this far. You belong here now." "No," I gasped, stepping back, my heart thudding violently in my chest. "This isn't where I belong." The woman laughed again, and it sent an icy shiver through me. Too late for that. They've seen you. They've heard your fear. You're not alone anymore. The shadows seemed to shift and pulse around her, restless and eager. They want to play. I shook my head, desperation clawing at me. "What do you mean? Play what? Let me go." "Not yet," she replied, her smile widening. "You have to give in to the darkness first. Let it guide you." The growling sound returned, low and menacing, echoing her words. Panic bubbled inside me as I backed towards the trapdoor. The shadows danced closer, threatening to engulf me, and the air felt charged with something primal. I had to escape. Summoning all my strength, I dashed towards the trapdoor, but as my fingers touched the edge, I froze. A voice, soft yet shrill, echoed in whispers around me, coaxing and seductive. "You'll never leave. Stay with us forever." The ground shook beneath me as if responding to their call. I could feel the malice in the air clawing at my lungs. In that moment, inexplicably, I lost my footing and fell backward into the dark depths of the underground room. And then, just as the laughter crescendoed into a shriek, the world around me shattered. Light exploded before my eyes, blindingly bright, and for a split second I felt weightless. A strange sensation of suspension in midair, hanging between life and oblivion. Then, as suddenly as it began, darkness crashed down around me. I lay in a heap on the forest floor, gasping for breath, my heart racing. The air was thick with humidity, and the innate sounds of the woods returned. I looked around frantically. Was I? The whispers? The shadows? Had it all been a hallucination? But the eerie silence lingered, and I felt the unmistakable sensation of being observed. I scrambled to my feet, my anxiety spiraling. The forest was unchanged, but I was not. The weight of the unseen presence pressed upon me. As I turned to flee, something caught my eye. A figure standing motionless just beyond the trees. It was the boy again, that same grin spreading across his face. "Did you have fun?" he chirped, eyes alight with mischief. "Get away from me!" I shouted, my breath caught in my throat. But he simply giggled and then turned, slipping silently into the shadows. The woods settled back into their chorus, but I was left vulnerable and shaking. The laughter faded, but the feeling of something dark and lingering remained. With a final glance at the clearing, I ran, pushing through the underbrush. I had escaped the ravine, the shack, and whatever those creatures were, but I wondered if I had really left them behind. Driving away from those haunted woods later, my hands trembled on the steering wheel, but the forest had marked me in a way I couldn't describe. I still think about that boy, that glowing laughter, and the way the shadows shifted. What had really happened in that darkness? Perhaps some truths are best left buried, lodged among the whispers in the trees. But somehow, deep down, I knew I would never really be rid of them.